Those slaves went out in the streets and they gathered all whom they found, both good and bad. Well, thank goodness there's hope for me after all. Imagine you invite people to your party and no one shows up. All your friends kind of blow you off. What is that? And so what you do is, everything's ready, right? You call anybody and everybody. If there were kids and they had a party, they just invite people they don't know in their school. And the benefit of that is, at least you're not wasting your money because there's plenty of kids to eat and have fun, but you're also making new friends that you may not have known. Again, Matthew is centered on Jesus trying to train up the Pharisees and the chief priests and the elders, because so far they haven't got it. We've seen in parable after parable that he's comparing these evil tenants and things to the chief priests and the elders, and they're just coming up short. And here again, Jesus is saying that, the chief priests and the elders are the ones who are invited to the feast. They're the ones, but they're not showing up. They feel that they know probably more than Jesus does because, after all, they've been brought up into the faith and they've been trained all their whole lives, and now they're in a position to train other people in their interpretation of what the law is. And so they don't need to come to this banquet, this party, this whatever it is that's being thrown for them. It's below them. We find that many people in our society, those who are really expert, those who are really humble, those who are the top of their game, still learn from others. They still practice hours and hours so that they can become better. So they can keep improving. They can learn more. They can keep an open mind to new ideas. Apparently, some of these people have not learned, and they feel that they've come to the top, and that's where they're going to stay, and they're going to rest on their laurels. And so Jesus basically says, okay, you've had your chance. Now, anybody and everybody, it's open to you, because the mission of God is going to continue no matter what. You got first dibs, you blew it off, you forgot about it now. The people who are left, those people who are needy and hungry, yeah, maybe they'll be able to carry on my mission. Maybe they're the ones I'm going to depend upon. Maybe it's a sign that Jesus is a little different than those others, because he does invite the good and the bad, those who don't measure up. See, in our society, we need to measure up no matter what. Our standards are so high, I can't even say. When I was in high school, 35 years ago, and took the ACT test, what do you think my score was? Now, don't say 10. It wasn't that bad. It was a deal where you said that the ACTs at Rochester Community College from 8 to 4 on a Saturday morning. You get up, you wipe the sand from your eyes, you get up and you drive that half hour or whatever it takes to get there, and you sit. And you mark in little black dots and whatever else have you. 23. Ooh, okay. I got to apply to colleges now. I have an ACT of 23, but luckily I had good grades and did other activities that, were in my favor. But I was accepted, And, it was only once where I was laughed at. But other than that, it went pretty well. And then years later when I was substitute teaching, I learned that the kids had classes on how to take the SATs. I was a little dumbfounded. Really? There's classes on that? You take classes to take the test? Huh. Well, that's interesting. And then I found out schools are sort of guiding their curricula, some, toward the test, toward taking tests to get into college and do better. It's becoming so competitive. And my daughter's applying to high schools in Milwaukee, and it's two letters of teacher recommendations, an essay, test scores, grades, attendance. I was like, really? That's college. You're all set for college now. Just keep those transcripts for college. It's amazing how the standard has come up so high. And we, along with it, our expectations of ourselves are come so high that we can't figure on if we're just average, if we're going to be acceptable in this life, in this society. If we're just kind of average. Somebody's got to be average. And is that okay? Sure. Now, Jesus even then turned the society expectations on its head. Because the rabbis only picked the cream of the crop. And that wasn't Jesus. As we know, he didn't pick the cream of the crop. He picked anybody and everybody. Peter was stuck his foot in his mouth half the time, never had a connection between brain and mouth, and just let whatever say. And then you got Judas Iscariot who had betrayed him. You got followers who went with him so far, and then after he told them what it's going to take to become his followers, they left, and they went another direction. So Jesus wasn't 100%, on his game either with recruiting disciples. He invited, they didn't take it, they left. The king invited. The person with the wedding robe symbolizes those people that have the gift but kind of say, no, I don't really want that. I'm going to go a different direction. And that's pretty harsh. It throws gnashing of teeth and all that kind of thing. But it's symbolizing that it's harder if you don't embrace the life. If you don't follow, sometimes it gets harder. I've heard more often than not at funerals, and I've done a number of them, they say, I don't know what I'd do without my faith. My faith sustains me. It gives me strength. It connects me to God in ways I can't imagine. It connects me to people in ways I never thought possible. And so Jesus invites the good and the bad. Those who, let's say an employee gives bonuses to everybody, even those who don't do a good job, even those who are fired, they get bonuses too, and that doesn't seem right. And the scandal of the cross is something we just can't wrap our minds around. Those who are accepted and loved by God, we would never think twice about even accepting them in our circles. Those who do genocide, those who commit murder, those who are just ruthless, who we just can't stand. And God loves them too, and that's hard for us to get because the banquet is open for all. God's abundance is available for all. This originally was the Great Commission. We know the Great Commission, the end of Matthew, go therefore out to nations and baptize everybody. This was the first original. The table set, invite everybody you can to the table for the banquet. We see that Jesus fed 4,000, 5,000. It didn't matter if they were Jew or Gentile. They were hungry people, and that's all that mattered. And so they were invited. And here, he invites all to come, just off the street, random people. It doesn't matter their heritage, their theology, their race, their ethnicity. It just didn't matter. And as children of God, we try to follow that as best we can. It's hard. We have things that we need to put in place to protect, I guess, have standards so that it's not complete chaos. But it's a wonderful ideal to try to follow. And we come here as people of faith trying to, get the sense of the Spirit of Christ in our lives so we can go out into the world and be that for other people in even smallest of ways. It makes a difference. We invite people sort of into our lives to the banquet along with us to partake in this wonderful abundance of God. I remember going to a seminar about leadership or something rather. It was 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't remember what I read yesterday, so it doesn't surprise me. But her question was to about 20 of us, who wants to make $1 million? And I see all the hands raised, and I'm not raising my hand. Okay, well, here's the oddball. Keep an eye out for him. What motivates him? Well, it's not money. I'm not here to make $1 million. I'm here to make a difference in other ways, I guess. I mean, $1 million I could use in certain ways too, but I was never motivated by that. It didn't prompt me. Other things do. The great leveling of Jesus Christ's ministry and mission. Used to be Southwest Airlines, first come, first serve. Now, if you pay $15 a person, you get ahead in the line, right? You can choose your seats before everybody else. Well, so much for that. Is there anything that really has the leveling if we're all equal? No, super size and super everything, so you get a little bit ahead if you pay a little extra money or whatever. So Jesus is saying, you don't have to supersize, you don't have to pay extra, you're just all invited. Plain as that. It's just what he does. And for those who think, we don't need anybody, I'm self-sufficient. There's nobody in the world who's self-sufficient. Everybody needs somebody. You look at all these great leaders, these billionaires, no, they had help. maybe behind the scenes, but they had someone. We can't do it all alone, on our own. And so we have this wonderful invitation to continue to walk in the journey of faith with a Christ who opens his arms to anybody and everybody. We may not like it, but you never know. Like the kid who's inviting kids they don't know in school, maybe they'd find out they've got something in common, even more than they thought, and say, hey, how come I never met you before? There's new friendships. Our world is expanded. Our world is enriched. And it's proven that people who are in social contacts with people live longer. People in isolation don't live as long. So we need each other. Desperately need each other. Don't get me wrong, I'm an introvert. I need time alone too. But overall, we need people. We need all come to the banquet. Psalm 23, that God sets the table before everybody. You may be sitting across from someone you don't like. That's too bad because it's for everybody. But you never know. There's hope in all of this. You just don't know how the Spirit's going to work, how the Spirit's going to affect us in different and meaningful ways. We just keep open to that Spirit. We keep open for our ministries here. Our individual ministries, our ministry as Trinity Lutheran Church, as a congregation, our ministry as the 4 ELCA congregations or 5, whatever have it, the services in Cedarburg and Grafton, there's just no end to the possibilities that we can affect change and affect a more meaningful life and a deeper life and a connectedness with each other. Not thought possible. We're not going to be the best parents. We're not going to be the best employees. There's always going to be someone better than you are. That's okay. That's okay. The table's open for all. We're all invited. God has the tent available for all. And we find goodness and mercy in that, and the abundance of God's love in that. So blessed be God, our Creator and Redeemer, who calls us and enriches us and strengthens us. Amen.